AEW Dynamite starts off with Daniel Garcia. He basically comes out and basically says that he doesn't wait till All Out. He wants MJF now. MJF ends up coming through the crowd, talking in the crowd. He ends up saying that he doesn't want to fight him now because he doesn't want no excuses at All Out. Then he ends up mentioning that he doesn't need to attack people from behind. Daniel ends up responding back, ends up saying that everything MJF says is a lie. Everything about him is a lie, from his tan to the makeup he wears to cover up his makeup. Then he ends up saying that he plans on ruining MJF's career, that he meant what he said, that he's not happy with just a victory, that he just wants to ruin MJF's life. Daniel Garcia did a very good job on his promo. He was getting real personal. He even mentions how that in the future, after his career is over, he wants his entire life to be a living hell. Basically, like he was going in, but then afterwards, MJF ends up saying that he was trying to help Daniel, that he was trying to teach him that you can't trust nobody, and that they would love you, but then they would easily turn on you, basically calling them fickle. He ends up saying that they used to love me, but then they stopped liking me. And he says the more successful Daniel Garcia ends up getting, that the more and more they're going to prey on your downfall, which is kind of true in wrestling terms. This is true to a degree. Wrestling fans can be very fickle because one moment you could be the top guy that everyone wants you to win a championship, but then the moment you win that championship, very quickly they could want you to lose it very quickly as well. It's very weird how wrestling fans can be at times. But then um he ends up MJF ends up assaulting his mother. He ends up making basically a joke of saying that whenever he puts Daniel Garcia on his mom's bed from being injured, that he won't be the first man to ever lay his back on his mom, basically implying that his mom is a thought, basically. Then he try Daniel Garcia tries to go up to the to towards the crowd. He attacks all the security, takes them all out. But then my MJF ends up hitting him with a wine glass, I think, and ends up knocking him out. Then Daniel Garcia is dripping in blood. MJF says a couple of words, but then he ends up kissing his forehead, licking the blood, and then he starts tasting it as well. This was a really good segment. This was overall a really amazing segment. I really love what they've been doing here. I think Daniel Garcia should get the victory here, but it wouldn't shock me if he lost, but I think he should. This is not going to be a one match thing, though. I think this is going to be a continued rivalry. So if MJF wins, it's probably going to be via cheating. But this was a really good segment. Probably not, well, no. We got to wait for that for the main event. But this was a really good segment. This is one match I am excited for at All Out. Now, next, we end up getting a John Moxley promo. He's still walking around with I gotta remember that lady's name, but I do not be remembering her name. But he ends up saying that he's basically looking for Darby Allin, and that he ends up giving high praise to Darby, but he ends up saying that he doesn't want to wait around for too long, or he would have to use force. He doesn't want to use force, but he will. I don't know where this is going. I'm not gonna say I love Darby Allin. I'm not the biggest John Moxley fan, so I'm not gonna say I'm excited for this, but this has potential. I know John Moxley is one of the main event players in AEW, so I know this has a lot of potential. So I'm I'm not gonna say I'm excited for it, but I am kinda interested, mainly because Darby Allin is involved, but this could be interesting. Now we end up getting a six-man tag match. This is to build up the Pac and Will Ospreay match for the International Championship. After Blackpool Combat Club ends up picking up the victory, the Elite ended up attacking them. But Bryan Danielson, Claudio, and Yuta and Pac as well ended up overcoming them and end up standing tall. After this, they end up having a back and forth. On All Out, the Young Bucks will face Yuta and Claudio. I don't know why. That's just stupid, but okay. The Young Bucks are clearly going to win, so that sets up a match at All Out. Not gonna speak too much about it because yeah, that's just stupid. I don't understand. Majority of this show I'm gonna skip over because I'm gonna be honest, it's not worth watching outside of like three three segments. I would say outside of three segments, the opening and the main event. Everything else you could kind of you don't need to watch. It's really just the opening and main event for this show, if I'm being honest. But yeah, don't know why they're doing this match, but let's hope it's at least good because yeah, it's just no. Now we end up getting the main event. Hangman Page and Swerve. They're supposed to have their contract signing for their match All Out for the Steel Cage match, but Hangman is not coming out. They're constantly playing Hangman's music, but he's constantly not coming out. Everyone's confused. Then he finally pops up on the Titantron, and it appears that he is in Swerve Strickland childhood home. Earlier in the show, Swerve Strickland ended up having a little segment where he was basically becoming the new owner of his childhood home. And I was so confused because I was like, why is they showing this? But then now it makes sense. Hangman Page appears in Swerve Strickland's childhood home, and basically he's just going on a rant, talking about how he wants to complete his mission of basically ruining Swerve Strickland's life. He ends up talking about Swerve's childhood, mentioning that his father probably never loved him, and mentioning that he probably wished that Swerve was never born. Then he starts mentioning how his house is just the start of the torture that he's going to cause Swerve at All Out, and that he's going to start with his house. Then it's going to start with his pride, his dignity, his respect. This was a really good segment, but then he ends up start pouring gasoline all over the house. Then he goes outside and then ends up getting a lighter or whatever, and ends up lighting the house on fire. This was an amazing segment. This was great. Bro, I have never seen anything like this in wrestling. Now, to be fair, I did step away from wrestling from a while, and then I came back, so that's a huge reason why. Because I know like Randy Orton done this before as well, but I wasn't around when Randy Orton did it. But this is great. This is amazing. This has been my favorite feud in AEW since I watched it. This has been my favorite feud. This is the main thing I've been enjoying. This feud has been nothing but amazing. This has been great. I can't wait for the match at All Out. I'm assuming Swerve should win. I may do AEW All Out predictions. I'm not sure, but this was an amazing segment, bro. This was absolutely perfect. This was the overall show was not that good. Opening and the ending, great. Everything in between does not matter. So, but overall, this was a really solid segment. You guys let me know your opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But yeah, that's it.